Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly review.
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here, meeting my icon, Catherine Isabel here.
Across the streams of hopes and dreams where things are really not. Come along if you can. Come along if you dare.
Have a good one. Cheers, guys.
Side of your mind, but please realize you'll probably be surprised.
Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of this week's episode of Riverdale on the CW, which is episode 14 of season 2 called The Hills Have Eyes. So yeah, we're back from another break from Riverdale. They gotta stop this because I'm enjoying this season. But these breaks aren't doing it any favors. You know, we had the actual mid-season break, and then we just had another one for a couple of weeks at least. Felt like more. It was probably more. Yeah. Wait, let me check to make sure. But yeah, I sort of have a love-hate relationship with this episode. I can say that much. We'll talk more about that in a minute once I verify the dates here. Okay. Yeah, okay, it was a full month, actually. Yeah, which is really odd, because we had our actual mid-season back on December 13th, and it came back on January 17th. That ran through until February 7th, and we had another month off. They can do that. That's a little bit too many breaks there, I think. Because it's a long season. It's a 22 episode season, and I'm personally enjoying extra episodes. But I can see it's starting to feel just a bit stretched out just because of how broken up it's been. It's downfall of the show. It's kind of the weird network scheduling. But yeah, anyway, I have like a love-hate relationship with this episode. There were some kind of questionable character choices in this one. I felt that were kind of off and a little bit out of character to a certain extent. But then there's some... I like the setting of it, I like the setup of it, and there's some still pretty nice stuff in it, as far as character dynamics go as well. Probably one of the best episodes of the season overall, though, but again, there's just some questionable actions here. Of course, the big hook for this week was what we see in the previews for Veronica and Jughead. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Of course, the setup to the episode being that Hiram and Hermione, of course, are going to go up to Lodge, as Veronica calls it, which is kind of cute. But of course, they have some kind of dealings. They're meeting with families again and stuff like that. So they're not going to be able to use it. So Hiram encourages Archie to take Veronica up there as well, and Veronica decides to invite Betty and Jughead along as well. Jughead going, for Betty's sake, but also because he thinks he can use this as a way to get some information about Hiram from Veronica. And so I like the setting that automatically it made for a different kind of episode. It wasn't just them going like in and out of school and at Pops or whatever. It was them, in a cabin in the woods, basically. And, so I like that. I had like a sense of the characters just being by themselves, even though they were being watched by Andre, of course, one of Hiram's guys, with Archie being the only one that knew for a while. But still, it gave the characters a chance to sort of just be on their own. And I kind of like that, because in movies, but especially in shows as well, some of the best episodes can come out of characters like being trapped together or just like on their own together, and have it be a more contained kind of story for the episode. I've seen it done in other dramas and even sci-fi shows, and even Family Guy with like Brian and Stewie locked in a bank vault. So I always like things like that. And with Riverdale's gloomy feel, it always has them being at Lodge. It gave a little bit of a sense of danger, just a bit. And obviously, seeing at the end of the episode, that wasn't completely just a feeling either. But yeah, so I really admired those aspects of it, and it did make it for one of the more memorable episodes in a while, I think, and I've been enjoying the season. A lot of people are complaining about this season, by the way, and I don't know if it's quite as cohesive as the first season, but that's because it has almost double the episodes. I think it's understandable, but I think it's still held up fairly well, or at least pretty solid for their first really big season. And I'm still pretty into it, man. I still really love the show, and I'm not afraid to admit it. But yeah, of course, when it came to the Jughead and Veronica thing, Cheryl, she wanted to go along as well, but it was like a couples only thing. So she kind of did what she usually does and tries to throw her own kind of personal twisted monkey wrench into it. And that was in calling Jughead and not just randomly telling him about the Archie and Betty kiss that they shared, earlier on. And this was brought up between Veronica and Archie before, and I enjoyed how mature Veronica was about it. And also, it wasn't the worst thing in the world because they were broken up at the time, and it was like a moment of like danger and everything like that. But we know it kind of meant more than that, I guess. It's probably going to, but it wasn't like the most like a heinous, like a betrayal or anything like that. And I liked how, like I said, how mature they portrayed Veronica being in that conversation. But here, they start drinking the jalapeno margaritas or whatever they were, which I would have liked to try. Of Veronica's. So I don't know if it's them drinking for a little bit, like I would sort of start thinking like this, but then she felt like they had to make things even. So she decides to kiss Jughead in the hot tub, which felt kind of weird. And the kiss was a little bit longer than the one Archie and Betty shared, for sure. Both of them seemed kind of, I don't know if I want to say smug, but kind of satisfied or proud of themselves. And as Jughead tells Betty later, he just likes seeing the look on Archie's face. And he kind of avoids the subject of how much he actually enjoyed it personally. So it's kind of interesting, and also it is meant to create more of a triangle, I guess, or a square now, I suppose. If they're really gonna, there's still a story left to be told between FP and Alice, and if they're really ever gonna go into that and really bring back that past thing and make it like the main adult relationship on the show, then you can't have Betty and Jughead eventually. So are they eventually going to go the way of Fughead, or whatever you want to call it? Is it I don't know, Jugheronica? I don't know what the ship name would be for it. Maybe. I don't think it'd be the worst story in the world. I know a lot of fans can be stuck on like Barchi, or Bughead and different things like that. I personally think Veronica and Jughead actually need to have more scenes together. Not necessarily like this, but I mean, this is what their characters now, so they're contrasting right now. I think they need to sort of spend some time together and have to sort of work things out with each other or something, with what's going on with Hiram and how Jughead's coming after him. Because Veronica, she's more than just like the rich criminal guy's daughter. She definitely has more to her than that. I think Jughead needs to see that at a certain point, and again, not like this. But yeah, it was awkward. It felt a little bit out of place, I think. And again, it was, I think, sort of out of Veronica's character all of a sudden act like that. But I think it was probably the drinks, and no matter what, Jughead said, he's human. So even if he's not going to like hold it against Betty completely, there's still like a little part of him that, you know, it's kind of resenting both of them, or he's a little bit jealous, you know, no matter what, you know, it's just going to be natural. So I guess that's part of it. And also Veronica is, you know, the other kind of person she was before she arrived in Riverdale that she, you know, she's, you know, talked about before. That was probably part of it coming out as well. So yeah, it was awkward, but I don't think it was like so devastating to the show like some people are making it out to be, though. But also kind of bugged me a little bit later, because of course it, you know, it becomes obvious more that Jughead's digging for information on Hiram. Then it becomes more of a coincidence when you find out Hiram, he's about the newspaper thing, you know, supposedly to keep him quiet in Jughead's eyes. Then he buys another business as well, and, you know, and Jughead gets on Veronica, or we just stop here so, you know, I don't interfere with what your dad's doing. And it felt really odd because Betty was talking like so kindly about Veronica later, saying, you know, she's my best friend, and, you know, she was so sweet and, like, you know, really cherishing the friendship she and Veronica have. But then she kind of turns on Veronica pretty quickly and says, "What's going on, Ronnie?" Or, I mean, "What's going on, B?" Or, you know, Veronica, whatever she calls her. And she just automatically thinks Veronica is, you know, like hiding something and being like all manipulative with her friends, and, you know, she's not. And it's just weird how quickly Betty especially jumped on that bandwagon. But yeah, Hiram's obviously trying to manipulate things. I think he does care about Veronica, and his you know, dynamic with Archie is interesting. He's obviously, you know, still a criminal of some kind, and he's trying to, you know, sort of put a lid on things. You know, especially with buying the trailer park. You know, it's nice, and, you know, maybe Jughead is pushing it a bit too much right now because, you know, now FP and the others don't have to get kicked out. They don't have to scrape up however ton of money they're going to have to. But yeah, it's obviously some further goal of Hiram's, but still, it's kind of a mixed thing. And before we get to the Cheryl and Toni part of the episode, which was surprisingly nice, we also had some, you know, intruders in the Lodge as well. Veronica and Betty head to town at one point. She gets a little bit flirty with the cashier, which again is one of those things that felt a little bit out of character for Veronica. But it didn't really last too long, thankfully, and he ends up being one of the burglars or the robbers that show up at the lodge. And Archie's starting to have flashbacks of you know, the Black Hood when Fred was shot. And, you know, I thought that was actually a pretty well edited sequence. It did feel fairly intense. It felt like the whole like gunpoint thing came a little bit out of nowhere, though. But, you know, I felt a little bit nervous, I guess. And, you know, this causes Archie, while the guy ends up taking Veronica upstairs alone to get her purse. Luckily, he doesn't try to do anything. I would cut his fucking head off myself if he touched Ronnie like that. I may be getting too into the show to say that, but luckily he doesn't, except he does take Veronica's necklace, which is like a big middle finger, and that causes Archie to snap and try and chase the guy down. Both because of that, and also because he remembers what happened with Freddy and wants to do more than just be on his knees this time, which I thought was again a good sequence. And he chases him through the woods, tackles him, he's about to punch him, takes off the mask, but then Andre shows up and shoots him anyway. You know, he doesn't tell the others so much about what happened. Well, we see a sense of unity between the group again. At the end, it pops with them, you know, putting all their hands together and everything, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Cheryl and Toni thing in a second, but there's also the Kevin part of it with Josie, you know, and, you know, it was kind of nice, I guess, to go there and see I Love Simon, which is a movie that's actually out right now. It seems like a nice kind of thing, I guess. Because it's been, you know, of course, they found out that Sheriff Keller and, you know, Josie's mom, the mayor, are, you know, having fun with each other, despite, you know, Kevin's mother being overseas. So that part's alright as well. Although I don't think the girl who plays Josie is really one of the best actresses on the show. You know, she's a little bit off in certain parts, I think, here, but not bad. But I really like the Cheryl and Toni part of the episode here, which is a very nice surprise. Madeleine, the actress who plays Cheryl, she has her own YouTube channel, which I'll try to link to. But yeah, she's a really cool, very down-to-earth person, and she appears in her videos, and Cheryl is really becoming one of my favorite characters for sure. Veronica's still first, then probably FP, and after that it's probably between Jughead, Archie, or Cheryl. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to do a separate video on that sometime later. And she's still going through what her mother's doing at their place, with satisfying lowly men of Riverdale, or wherever it is. So she ends up snapping at Toni a little bit and sort of going into like her defense mode, because of her own mental issues and or her own not mental issues, but the trauma she's been through or what she's experiencing right now. And Toni sees that pretty quickly. And you can tell she's intrigued by Cheryl, and Cheryl ends up talking about how there's a person she loved that her mom, didn't let her be with when she got in bed together, and it was, a female. And I've seen some people saying it was like too on the nose of saying, oh yeah, Cheryl's, we know that Cheryl's bisexual now, so look at that. But I don't think it was, really too in your face. It was really a very sweet and touching scene between Cheryl and Toni, I think, with some, pretty nice acting too. And I really like the bond they've established, pretty quickly between Cheryl and Toni. It's again one of those relationships that contrast, but I think really, really could work. So I hope Cheryl doesn't chase after Josie anymore or anything. I really hope they focus on Cheryl and Toni here. Maybe that could be how she gets back at her mother, and just going forward with that full on. I think would be great. But yeah, so that was really good actually. So yeah, despite some of the questionable Veronica stuff and the Betty thing, also she went dark Betty to have sex with Jughead, and that was weird. Although it was kind of funny because the first night or whatever, you hear Veronica and Archie creaking, and but then you hear the same sound with Jughead and Betty the next night, and it was kind of funny. Or at least I think it was during the day when Archie and Veronica did it. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, questionable stuff here and there with the characters, but I really enjoyed this episode. I think it was put together really well. Again, I like the premise and setting of it, and made it different. And I really thought the Cheryl and Toni thing had a very nice start, very, very nice. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. If I had to rate it, I feel like I overrate my shows sometime, but sometimes, so I just enjoy it. I'm giving this one between like a 9.3 and a 9.5. I just enjoyed it that much. I'm sorry. I know it's not like the same as other stuff, but just how I see Riverdale, this one was definitely a pretty entertaining one for me. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. Haven't done that in a while.